Hi there. In this short video, I'll give you an introduction to some of the key principles of academic writing so as to give you an idea what's expected of you when writing for any type of assessment at university level. Developing an academic register. A register is simply a way of speaking or writing which fits with the situation in which we find ourselves. Just as with speech, writing is something which can take many forms dependent on the context and the audience. In order to develop an academic register, we must understand what type of language is appropriate for an academic context. There are variations between what might be expected of academic writing in different subject areas and at different levels of study. However, there are a few general principles which tend to be universal regardless of the subject area which you work in or the level at which you study. While many people might anticipate academic writing to be governed by numerous complex rules, there really are only a few universal principles that any student needs to consider when writing at university. One of these principles of academic writing is that it should be formal in tone. Formal writing tends to be less personal than informal writing, meaning that it avoids the use of personal pronouns such as I, me, we, or our. The one exception to this being where you're writing reflectively. Formal writing doesn't use colloquialisms or idioms. These are phrases such as at the end of the day or beyond a shadow of a doubt. While these are the types of phrases we use all the time in informal conversation, when it comes to academic writing, they are inappropriate since they create a chatty and informal tone while also reducing the clarity of the point being made. Formal writing also avoids the use of contractions. So, in an academic assignment, your marker would not expect to see the words it's, don't, or can't, but would rather expect to see the full forms it is, do not, and cannot. Other than writing in a formal tone, the only other fundamental requirement of academic writing is that it should be direct and to the point. Academic writing should communicate ideas to the reader in the clearest way possible. Sometimes this means getting rid of unnecessary words or phrases which are not adding anything to the discussion. Adverbs are a good example of language which can often be cut from academic writing without affecting the meaning of what is being said. For example, if we look at the sentence, the organisation was shockingly understaffed, the word shockingly adds nothing to the fundamental meaning of the sentence. The only function of the word in this sentence is to amplify the understaffing of the organisation and to tell our reader how we feel personally about this. Removing the word from the sentence allows us to retain the sentence's key meaning while also losing the informal tone which comes from using such emotive language. Sometimes in academic writing there can be a tendency to try to make the work sound more intelligent by elongating the sentences, adding in words and phrases which draw out the point of the sentence. However, this is very often counterproductive. While there may be ideas which require long sentences in order for them to be fully explained, shorter sentences can also be used when appropriate. Indeed, unnecessarily long sentences will eventually frustrate your reader, who's keen to understand your point as quickly as possible and move on to the next. The importance of being direct can be seen in the two sentences on this slide. They express exactly the same idea that academic writing skills develop over time, but the first sentence takes twice as many words to do so. Writing in this way will not only irritate a marker, it will also mean that you can cover fewer points overall in your writing. Another mistake that some students may make when writing at university is to introduce complexity to the writing simply for complexity's sake. Some students may read back over their work and feel it does not sound academic enough, and then start altering their writing simply to make it sound smarter. Remember that the goal is to ensure that our reader can read each sentence and take in exactly what we as writers intended. What we always want to avoid is a situation where our reader must reread our sentences to try to get to the point of what we are attempting to say. Good academic writing can be read quickly, not because the ideas are simple, but because the language allows it. In this example on the slide, we can see the problems that arise from introducing complexity for the sake of complexity. The sentence in red reads, The organisation's innovative methodology to commercial practice ensured an enormous impression upon the subdivision. While our reader may be able to glean some meaning from this sentence after reading it 3 or 4 times, the true meaning has been obscured by the substitution of unnecessary and inappropriate words from the thesaurus. Certainly there's nothing wrong with demonstrating a varied vocabulary in university writing, but beware of trying to use longer words just for the sake of it. The sentence in green, the organisation's new approach to business had a major impact upon the sector, shows how the sentence sounded before I decided to substitute words with the longest synonyms I could find. The language is clear, and a reader will be able to read this sentence once and move on. Remember, the best academic writing communicates complex ideas in clear and concise language. This is the balance you should be aspiring towards in academic writing: complexity of thought and clarity of expression. Finally, bear in mind that the highest quality academic writing always comes through a process of rewriting. The more time you spend going back over your work to improve the clarity and directness of your writing, the easier it will be for the marker to grasp your point and to award you the marks that you deserve. We should never expect to produce our best writing on the first attempt. This is why managing your time well is essential when writing at university. When you aim to complete an assignment, you should always factor in a period of rewriting before your deadline. This will ensure that you bring the writing up to the highest possible standard, while also reducing the pressure you place upon yourself in the run-up to submission. If you don't give yourself enough time to go back over and proofread your essay, the experience of writing everything close to the deadline will inevitably be a stressful one. As you know, the work you're going to submit is not going to be your best attempt. Take time to reread and rewrite. This will inevitably increase the quality of your writing. Thanks a lot for listening. Remember, you can get further support with the topic discussed in this presentation or anything else academic skills related by booking a 30-minute academic skills appointment through the UWS Careers and Skills site. Hour-long group appointments can also be arranged by emailing skills@uws.ac.uk. Please also have a listen to our podcasts on academic skills, including the one on academic writing. All episodes are available on Spotify. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.